Today is initially about launching the whole event across Scotland, but also to enthuse people from across Scotland to say, we can do this in our place. And what we're trying to do here today is to take people on a journey. So we needed a reasonable sized place where people could move from place to place as they went through different stages of the day and learnt new things about themselves, about God and about faith. I think Holiness and Risk is about individuals looking at their calling as Christ's disciples in the places that they've been, in the places that they are now, and where God may be calling them to in the future. And about a daily discipline of holiness and a discipline of holiness in life, but also about saying, I've got to take risks to make that work in the world as it is today.
What do you make of this idea of holiness and risk?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity to look at the absolute basics of faith. I think that for me, the church, in many ways, and perhaps it's just me, has become very much bogged down in the business of being church. And whilst I have become part of that, and I've sort of valued being sort of part of that, I think that I'm now very much looking for an opportunity to get back to the basics of faith.
What we hope for in looking back to our roots is to find that they are roots that can refresh the present. But it's a question, how do you look back? What I want to suggest to you today is that the best way that we can turn to our roots and look to and engage with our Wesleyan tradition is to see John Wesley and Charles and the early Methodists as spiritual mentors. At the heart of it all is growth in love for God and neighbour. The journey of discipleship as a journey of growth in love for God and neighbour, which is another way of saying a journey of becoming like Jesus.
God is a lot closer than we often give him credit for, and so we need to be encouraging one another to think of a God who is there with us, who cares about us, and who wants us to become the sort of people that he always intended us to be.
It's certainly been good to be a part of and to see how people are engaging in it, the different things that are being looked at, not only in terms of where we've come from as Methodist people, but where that obviously leads us on to within the real world as it is, and looking at some of the challenges that there are in the world, some of the complex issues that we have to face, and we've got to figure out how to live out our faith in those places and in those situations and contexts.
And the activities that you've journeyed on today, what's I think I'm right in thinking of 4 different areas?
4 different areas, yes. We have a group who are going under the banner of discerning, and they're looking at their journey so far. What is it that God's been doing with them to get them to this point in their lives? We're then taking them on to a session which is called Reflecting, and seeing what that means against the backdrop of the world as it is today. And then we're taking them into a session called Rooting, where they're looking at what it particularly means to be a Methodist with all of that in the background, and how that's particularly shaped who they are. And then at the end of the day, offering them lots of resources which said, this is where you can go next, this can be the next stop on the way.
I've been part of a group which has been encouraged to reflect on their spiritual journey, on their journey of faith. And we were first of all introduced to 2 of our members and their spiritual journey, and they highlighted the things that had led them through their journey of faith. And then we were encouraged to use some ways of depicting that with felt tips and the opportunity to cut out pictures from magazines and so on. I think that one of the weaknesses of our church today is in those who really don't feel they've got a story to tell, because perhaps they haven't reflected in that way, and they don't see their testimony, their story as being significant, when in actual fact everybody's story is important.
The thing that really attracted me to the programme was the emphasis that there was on taking a look at individual holiness and personal fellowship, and then working out what a group of individuals who have that at heart start to look like when they come together as church.
And when you say we want to enthuse people to take this initiative to a local level, how do you see that happening?
I see that in local churches and local circuits, that they will draw people together to do some of the sort of activities we've done today, but over a longer period, they might have 2 or 3 weekends over a period of time where they would share in some of these issues in a much deeper way.
Start small and find people who share the vision and the passion to take a few steps forward together, and then hope and pray that that will extend more widely as time goes on.
It's not an easy thing to start reflecting on your own life. Initially, that's the group I was in. Reflect on your own life and find out for yourself how your faith journey has gone. And then try and think about, well, where's it going next? That is difficult.
Everywhere is different. So people need to think about how they can take what they've thought about today and make that relevant in their own local environment. Now, once they've done that piece of thinking, once they've worked out what's right for them, then come and have a chat with the Learning and Development team, and we'll do everything we can to support you in making that happen.
What do you hope it might offer to Methodists in Scotland?
I hope it will be a renewal for Methodists in Scotland. That's what I've been praying for 20 years.
And is this different? Has this felt different, a different opportunity?
Well, maybe it's just where I am at the moment in life, but yes, I feel that I've gained something very positive today. And one thing that I was able to do was identify a gap in my own development.
I think it challenges everything that we are. It challenges our values in terms of the way we live our lives in our local communities, how we live our lives as families, but I think also about what it means to be a Methodist people in a time of challenge.
Everybody should hear this and everybody should be part of it, because I think there is so much in it that is of tremendous value.
Take it home and think about it again and keep reflecting on this.
It's got a life and a dynamism that's perhaps new to some of the things that we do.
Is holiness and risk something that the Methodist Church in Scotland needs?
Absolutely, yes. The level of risk-taking is minimal, I think, in Christian lives nowadays, certainly in the Methodist Church in Scotland, and we really need to break out of that and take much more risk with our own lives and in the benefit of the community and for the sake of the church.